Hey, Firdaus, we're at the end of the day, and we're actually doing a proper happy hour.
Fantastic.
This
I'm
is
glad
the way
to
to do it.
Yeah.
Cheers. Happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, first question's a basic one. How are you feeling? You just threw a great event. Rave reviews so far. We've had 2 good podcast episodes out of this. So how are you feeling, man?
I feel tired,
Yeah.
but I feel great.
Yeah.
Right. At the same time, we've been working on this for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's been a vision that we've had for longer than that. And we decided last fall we have to make this happen.
Yeah.
And we have to do it in Pittsburgh because that's where we think foundational robotics preeminence will occur, right?
Yeah.
And this is the birthplace of autonomy. It's really the birthplace of robotics. We figured we had to do it here, but we also had to bring in folks from the coast, right? So we brought in Silicon Valley Robotics, we brought in Mass Robotics, and we wanted to create the idea of not just the Pittsburgh ecosystem, but the broader ecosystem. So for me to see all of this come together, to see a year of work, and to see the turnout, and everybody raving about it positively is just really, really fantastic and just makes me so happy and proud of what we've accomplished in getting this off the ground in our first year.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, talk about a great, like, first time around, right? You have a lot of the first time excuses, right? But you don't need them.
No.
Like, it worked out great. I was excited to be here. And, what surprised you about the event, maybe? I mean, it sounds like things went according to plan, which is always good, but anything that came out of it, like a pleasant surprise?
The first was the turnout.
Yeah.
We had a max cap of 350 people. We invited 350 people, and we had about 330 people show up.
Wow.
So we were very, very high on the number of people that we had invited and actually came. And that was remarkable. And I think it was a function of the excitement around Pittsburgh, the excitement around robotics, and the novelty of what we were doing. And I think those 3 things coming together now at this time was the right time to do that. So for me, that was the thing that surprised me pleasantly to the upside. So that was the first thing. The second thing that surprised me was just the quality of the participants, right? And it's something that everybody here has been telling me. I've had tons of people come up to me and say, we're really impressed by what Cascadia and its partners have done, right?
Yeah.
Just the companies that are here. We have companies from all over the country, right? Really high quality companies. You saw a lot of them on the panels. We have ecosystem actors, right? We have academics from all over.
Yep.
And really interestingly, we had a very strong showing of investors, particularly VCs. VCs typically don't like to leave, where they are. And to have so many come, right, to an inaugural conference was pretty remarkable. And I was up late last night till about 2:30 sending emails, connecting companies and investors. And all of those connections occurred today and will occur through the evening. And more importantly, after the conference, right? What lives on after the conference is really important. And that's what has me most excited because those connections were made here. And we know they're going to be fruitful, in the months and years to come.
How did you curate? This is like kind of an event planning question almost. Like, how did you curate such a strong list? Because, the people that have listened to these podcast episodes have heard the diversity of the type of people that showed up, right? Like you said, ecosystem, academics, investors, high growth companies, right? How did you pull that off, right? I feel like most people struggle just getting people in the door, let alone the right people from different areas of expertise.
So I don't have a determinative answer, but I think I know how we did it, right? So it's a couple of things. One, we've been in this space for a long time now. And I think Cascadia Capital has developed a strong reputation as, domain experts, technology experts, and good actors in the ecosystem, right? So that in and of itself, I think, created a draw. The other draw, again, was Pittsburgh, the ecosystem partners, CMU, Pittsburgh Robotic Networks. That was a big thing. And the other thing was just we were very active in engaging with everybody that we wanted to come. So while there were a lot of people here that we hadn't met before, most everybody here we had spoken or interacted with over the past couple of years. So it actually became almost a fun way to bring everybody together that we had been spending time with over the last 24, 36 months. And I think people were excited about that connectivity with us, but also with each other.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the invitation-only aspect provides an element where people are like, okay, it's going to be myself and a bunch of other high-caliber people that are motivated in this space, forward-thinking in this space.
That's
so,
right. That's right.
It's been great. It's been a pleasure talking to all these folks on the podcast. You mentioned something earlier when we were kicking this off, and I think it's important because we have talked about autonomy in this space, and you were talking about structured versus unstructured autonomy, right? And we just had earlier in this episode a couple different startups on there doing automation for lawn mowing, doing automation for the construction industry, and I think it would be important for you to add your 2 cents to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Pittsburgh. People talk about Pittsburgh as the birthplace of robotics, and I think that's fair. But what Pittsburgh also is within that context is the birthplace of this idea of autonomy, right? And when people think about autonomy, they think primarily about driverless cars and trucks, right? Because that's what we see most of in the news, right?
Yeah.
That's what we call unstructured autonomy, right? Cars and trucks out on the open road, interacting independently with people. But there's another thesis around autonomy, which is evolving much more rapidly because of the environment that they're deployed in, which is structured autonomy. So think about robots acting independently within a contained environment to perform tasks and collect data, right? So you see that happening, of course, in warehouse and logistics and manufacturing. But where you're starting to see it increasingly is in those examples that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So robots that mow lawns, right?
Yeah.
Robots that autonomously drive around a construction site or, tie rebar ties.
Yep.
Robots that are working on farms.
Yeah.
Right. Those structured environment applications are developing much faster than the unstructured ones. They're getting to scale faster. The technology is proving faster, and the revenues there is faster. And Pittsburgh's autonomy focus has really enabled a lot of those companies to be successful.
Yeah. And it's funny, right? I mean, the show's manufacturing happy hour. So when I think automation and robotics, I'm thinking usually manufacturing and warehousing those. This is the first time where I was really hit with a heavy dose of agriculture as well as construction, right? And I think I'm not going to create construction happy hour, agriculture happy hour, but nevertheless, I think those areas are going to start bleeding into the show a little bit more.
Maybe change the name to Robotics Happy Hour.
I feel like I might need to start protecting all of those. People are going to start getting ideas. So
start patenting them. Yeah.
But nevertheless, as we wrap this up, I've been asking everyone this question in some way, shape, or form, but what are your predictions for robotics, automation, and AI over the course of the next 3 or so years?
So we're in inning 1, full stop. And so I think what you will continue to see is increased ramp, right? As more and more of this technology becomes real. And by real, I mean the applications work, and they're working at or above human level performance, and they're working autonomously, and they can be deployed, and they can be done so in a reasonable economic cost. That is going to continue to be happening over the next several years, next 3 years. And I think you're going to see a very, very steep ramp in the deployment of robots across all use cases in the next 3 years. And then right after that, it's really going to go, I think, into J-curve mode, just given the way the technology is progressing.
It'll be exciting. We've got this event coming next year as well, so it'll be cool to see how those predictions have aged after year 1. I know I'll be seeing you around the industry before then as well, but hopefully back here in Pitt at that point too.
Looking forward to it.
So, one final cheers. Yes. Appreciate you jumping on the show, Firdaus.
Thanks for having me.
Hosting such a great event, wrapping things up. For everyone else out there, stay innovative, stay thirsty.